So, good morning, everyone. Hope you had a great evening, great morning so far. Should be an exciting day. So let's start with our usual market review. And let me just tell you something. Just about the mindset and being able to kind of remove the noise and reduce the noise in your market analysis. Something I like to do, and it might sound a bit simple or trying to be too focused into your own scenario. But that's something that really helps me to hold on to my winners, hold them for the larger move, being able to keep my exposure for as long as I can. So once the market confirms that uptrend, meaning that we do have an official breakout, the price is trending above a rising 21 DMA structure. We're not overbought, we're not oversold, so we're still neutral, but breadth is expanding. So you get that McClellan summation starting to trend above the 10-day moving average. The oscillator is green, of course. So when I get that price uptrend confirmation, when I get that breadth uptrend confirmation, whatever it works or it fails, at this point, when we start to see that picture that we have right now, I tend to just really ease up on my analysis, trying to not overthink the current action. So if we have a gap and fade, if we have some shakeout, if we have normal reaction, tight range, etc., whatever happens, if we are trading above the 21 DMA structure, if we are still have breadth expanding, so McClellan summation is trending higher. So take those recent example. So when you get those nice reclaim on good power, like early 2025, like in April, when that start to trend, usually you don't get a hook down that would kind of be mid-range. When you have very powerful trend, the McClellan summation tend to trend and to carry on for a few weeks. So that's what I'm trying to catch and trying to not overthink or trying to anticipate the end of it the most that I can. Yes, it can fail. Yes, we can have chops. Yes, we can have failed attempt like this one. But that's part of the edge and the same mindset that I'm always talking about, being probability focused. And when you see that picture, you have to engage, you have to reduce the noise and just assume that it will go. But if it stalls, if you start to get red flags in your portfolio, then you reassess and just assume that, okay, maybe this time is not a big, beautiful trend that will carry for weeks. In that case, I will start to reduce exposure, being a bit more defensive, and waiting for the next opportunity. But until we have those red flags and we're still trending above the 21 DMA structure and above the 10 DMA for the McClellan summation, then for me, I just do a very, very quick analysis and focus on my portfolio feedback instead. So you will see in the next mornings during the pre-market sessions, and I started doing that in the Prime report as well. Those market analysis will be much quicker, and if price is above structure, is McClellan continuing to trend, I go right away to my portfolio. Internals still look very good. Credit spreads below a declining daily structure. VIX right back into that structure. So let's see if we reject that once again. I was not expecting that kind of rally, but maybe it's a breakdown and retest. And yeah, let's look today. Ideally, we form a lower high and we start to trend lower again. But keep in mind, there's probably a lot of edging going on right now with the government shutdown in the US. Potential shutdown, we don't know yet, so we'll know more today. But that's something also to keep in mind today. If you see big volatility going into the market, that might be that shutdown news. All right, and Bitcoin, yesterday, good action, so good 2 days push. We reclaimed the 21 DMA structure, and that's basically what we discussed in the last few mornings. What I want to see is a reclaim and back test. So look for that range or a couple tight days on the right side, a bit like we had here, a bit like we had here. So I like to see that quick reclaim. But after 2 strong days, you don't buy that that reclaim, right? You want to see some back test, you want to see some tight action. And if we get that 2-3 days, I don't know, maybe more, then it will be a really strong long setup on Bitcoin. Once again, the weekly looks pretty good with that higher low. And right now, just an inside wake, so very constructive action if we don't reject that daily structure. So NASDAQ, just so draw those structures on your chart. It will help to kind of understand how price moves, how those structures, those pivots, those base area are retested. So that's simple supply and demand. So when you see a structure being broke out, then it's very usual to see a retest. Look how it's handled on the retest. So for example, we have that base breakout, we have that retest, how it's handled, spring back up, buyers are defending that area. Same thing right now. So we have that pullback structure, that daily reversal yesterday, and what we have right now, very normal and LT reversal pivot retest. So you will constantly see on different time frame those breakout and retest, or reclaim and retest. And that's what really gives you the confirmation, more information that buyers are still in control, that uptrend is defended and looking healthy. All right, so let's look at the portfolio real quick. So ANET, so we had that pullback structure, high low, that daily reversal attempt yesterday, but we faded back. So I treat this as same thing as NQ, right? That's the same pattern, price action pattern. So we have that daily reversal and retest. So far we're only retesting that reversal pivot. That's all good, but we'll need to see how we react to that retest today. So do we fail and start to break structure? In that case, I would be out at the end of the day. Or it was a reclaim and retest, and we just push. We push from here, and we build that right side. And potentially start that new uptrend. So that's what I'm looking for on ANET. So far it's not broken. I'm still in the trade, and yeah, that one I don't have any trims yet. Same thing for VRT, still looking very good. Once again, I'm playing that weekly chart, that weekly cup and handle. Yesterday we had a reversal pivot retest, close mid-range, but as long as we hold that structure area, I think we're really all good, and we're starting to build that right side, those higher lows as well. Nvidia, building that right side, that wedge breakout start to work. So we have a daily reversal. We're still below those highs, so look for maybe some supply in that area, and that's probably why we rejected there yesterday. But now let's see if we can push through and get that final breakout confirmation. That would be nice to see. Auber still strong on the right side, nothing for me to do, still waiting for that 5R target to hit. AMD, I think that's one that's still setting up. It's in the focus list. So we had that higher low structure, that 21 DMA structure reclaim attempt yesterday. We failed at the reversal pivot and closed just below. And today what I want to see is either a clean reclaim, or maybe we get another higher low, very tight day before we can push later this week. But that would be kind of normal and constructive action. If we start to reject here and break that structure, then I would be out. But I'm still pretty high on AMD setup, to be honest. But obviously it needs to push. Tesla rejected at recent high. Just nothing to do for me right now. Still trending above the 21 DMA structure. Palantir still building nicely that right side handle. So you have that cup and handle. It failed at the the reversal pivot yesterday, but let's see how it will respond today. Robinhood, pretty strong breakout yesterday. It was leading the market. 2R target is taken. So now it's just a matter of being patient and trailing that 21 DMA structure. Nothing to do for me, to be honest. Oklo, small gap up. We're going to open up in the reversal pivot. So again, still acting good, still above the 21 DMA structure. And I'm on my runner to this. If we can maybe get that 2 leg down and retest of the 21 DMA structure, that's one that I would really like to add to my core position. Micron still trending nicely above the 21 DMA structure. Oh, and sorry, PLTR I didn't say, but it's still in focus list today. It's building nicely. It's getting less extended from the 10-week moving average. It's still within the daily buy area. But you can look at the 180.12 reversal pivot for an entry as we confirm the right side handle and potential cup and handle breakout. Yes, no. So both 2 and 5R targets are taken for me. It was a very tight risk, so I was able to get those 2 targets pretty quickly. And usually I don't like to take profits that early, but I had a lot of new open risk, so I was more than happy to just reduce my exposure yesterday and on Friday. So I'm just going to hang out with my runner and play this weekly trend with that smaller position. And finally, Warner Bros. Still don't have any bid yet, and yeah, just nothing to do there for me. Last one in the focus list is SoFi. So it's a pretty strong uptrend, getting a bit choppy above the 21 DMA structure. So it's not my high conviction play, I would say. But it's still setting up. So when you get the market setting up and you have leading stocks setting up in the 21 DMA structure, and it was looking constructive and one of the best setup in the TradersLab scan. So I have to keep that in close watch. So you have that pullback structure into the 21 DMA. You have that double bottom that we retested yesterday. And again, that would be actionable on the, no, not the trend line, on the reversal pivot at 28.48. So yeah, that's about it. So maybe a quick game plan. So for me, just like Friday, just like yesterday, I remain committed to the same game plan, which is trimming into strength and slowly getting off margin in ideally the next few days. So by the end of the week, ideally I want to be off margin if the market continue to trend nicely and the trades start to work and hit those 2 and 5 hour targets. So the goal is to continue that trimming down process. I'm not looking to open new exposure. I'm not looking to open new trades as we get a bit further in the trend attempt. So if we get good action today, we might see very short term getting in the overbought area. So when that happens, it's not a time to open new exposure. It's a time to reduce it. Reduce your risk, trim into strength, ideally lower even before, lower than being fully exposed. So ideally by the time your short-term to mid-term breadth is getting overbought, you reduce to maybe 60 to 80% exposure. And once the pullback hits, you get that stress test, you get that weakness in the market to digest the early push. Then you have lower exposure and you see that as an opportunity instead of being threatened by it and having to react and reduce your exposure into weakness. That's not what we want. So yeah, keep that in mind. The play again is to reduce that exposure until we get overbought. All right, so question from Louis. Good morning, Louis. How do you see GEV Rocket Lab? Yeah, I still like GEV, to be honest. There was some good weakness in the group yesterday. I really thought that it was kind of setting up well. Will we have some kind of shakeout like that on VST GEV? Or they are getting tired and we're just gonna see a rotation out of these names? I don't know. But you still have that reversal pivot on GEV. You still have that 21 EMA reclaim, and we're still within that base. We're still in that consolidation. We're still hanging out just at the 21 DMA structure. So don't try to anticipate what will happen. If you get good action today and you see that pivot being reclaimed, then that's probably a long setup and worth a shot to position early in a potential larger breakout. But if it failed, then you just never triggered your trade and you're good. Same thing for Rocket Lab. We're still inside the 21 DMA structure, but we're still in that larger base. We're still building higher lows. So that's still a long setup for me. You can look at the reversal pivot, the 21 EMA reclaim. That would be a pretty good anticipation entry. All right, so true anomaly. Next question. So I have not gotten all the way through your book yet, but for an entry in AMD, would you just buy if it breaks the pivot? Yeah, that's what I just explained, right? So for me, the entry would be the reversal pivot right here. I was able to, and once you get cushion in your portfolio, once you have good monthly performance, I try to anticipate a bit those setups and position on shakeouts. So that's what I did last Thursday. But the classic entry is really on the reversal pivot reclaim. Next one. So cheers, Alex. Cheers. Good morning. I know it is not exactly your setup, but what do you think of Snap? I am impressed by the volume profile. Yeah, so it's always tricky to ask someone. It's not your setup, it's not your system, but what do you think of it? Obviously, I have to answer based on my system. That's why we're here. And I'm not an expert at all the system. I'm not an expert in something that I don't trade. But Snap, honestly, I don't have to look very far. Go to the weekly, zoom out, and what do you see? That's a major red flag to me. So you have a nasty stage 4 decline, you have a big stage 1 base, and what do you have on the right side? You have lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, lower lows, lower lows, lower lows. So even larger trend, we're still in a downtrend. So, and okay, I won't go into another rant. I think we get those kind of setup each morning, and that's not, I'm not meeting it in a bad way. I was in the same place as you a few years ago, and it's a normal process, guys, to try to look at these names, trying to anticipate and being early in a bigger trend and trying to catch the big wave, and being early and kind of being the first one in the trade. That's very normal behavior. But at the end of the day, you're just not stacking the odds with you. So where the odds are in any systems, in my system, I should say, is trading the setups within an uptrend. So you already have the confirmation that the stock is going up, that the stock is leading, and you're putting yourself in a good position when that uptrend is digesting and you get a pullback into rising structure. You get basing action, but within that uptrend. So you're not trying to guess that the stock is moving, that the stock is leading. You're only positioning yourself at a good risk reward area within that uptrend. So yeah, my advice would be to wait for that confirmation. So wait for that stock to make a first higher high, for example. So if you reclaim that area right here, you're basically making a new higher high. So you have a potential trend shift. And even better, look for that stage 1 base to be breaking out. So if you start a new uptrend above those highs, then you get that confirmation that the wind is shifting for Snap. And the goal is not to be the first one. The goal is to be in the highest probabilities trades, and that's not what it is right now for Snap. And yeah, that's a good point. I don't have any volume on my charts. And just something to keep in mind as well with those names, if you look at the volume, just imagine the amount of short positioning that you get after basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5 years of heavy downtrend. You get massive short positioning. And when you get some type of report, some type of news, or you get a rip, you also get a lot of short covering, and that drives the volume up a lot. So that's something to look for as well when you see volume spike in those long-term downtrend. So on builders, yeah, that's a nice looking chart. And Poodle 666, I don't mean it in a bad way. I'm just explaining what I found out over the years, and basically where I was and at the same place, and how I learned to put myself in the highest probabilities setups. So yeah, you get on builders, nice weekly uptrend, pull back into the weekly structure. Right now you have that nice uptrend right here. You get that pullback below the 21 DMA structure. You get that retest, and that's where you get your first real test, right? So you get that push into structure, declining structure. And then that first rejection gives you a lot of information. Do you build a higher low, or you reject and make a new lower low? So in that case, we retested that declining structure, rejected, but it didn't go far. It was making a higher low. And now we have a proper kind of range breakout and potential 21 DMA structure reclaim. So good looking chart on DHI, probably the same kind of setup. Yeah, so same kind of setups on MHO. I will look for that pivot and 21 EMA reclaim. But yeah, the group looks strong. At least those two names. I didn't go and checked the old group. So home builders ETF, so you get that same trend. It's a bit lower below the 21 DMA structure, but kind of building the same higher lows. It's a bit weaker on the XHB ETF, but the names that you shared are looking stronger. So I would focus in the leading stocks of that sector for sure. Any other questions, guys? Oh yeah, Jobby. I removed that from the focus list. After seeing it trade in the last few days, I'm not sure that I want to take a position on that, but it's still looking constructive, to be honest. We're still building that right side range. That 21 DMA structure reclaim and retest setup is still there, We're still building higher lows. So I see yesterday as being kind of just a daily reversal attempt that failed. And yeah, I would look for that reversal pivot to be reclaimed. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow, but the larger setup is still there and pretty constructive. Battlefield 6, man, I never played Battlefield. You'll have to teach me. What about the weight traded? No, I would not remove. Okay, yeah, but what I mean by the weight traded. So sometimes you just look at volatility and liquidity, like the way trade intradays. So I like more liquid stuff. I like that stuff is moving nicely and a bit moving with the market and the rest of the portfolio. So Jobby was a bit weak when the market was having those small stress tests, and that's just only small clues that sometimes just put me off a name. But yeah, that's a reason for me to just remove that name. yeah, that's true. That's why I like to trade mostly mid to large cap tech names. That's what I have in my portfolio. That's why I track Nasdaq TLMM. And yeah, over time, that's just what I found to be more and to be better at, and usually get better performance off. So that's where I focus as well. Jazz. What about R&B? All right, so so when I see health technology and pharmaceuticals, I always go and see if this is kind of a clinical stage. And I want to know what they do, because healthcare and biotech in general, I don't want that risk. So Jazz Pharma operates as a biopharmaceutical company which focuses on the identification, development, and commercialization of pharmaceutical product. So basically they do development. So it's not clinical stage, but I don't like that risk. When I see development, so you usually have those news about some products, test, you get some FDA approvals or denials, and if everything's go well, you have those uptrends. But when you get a bad news, then you get those big gaps and downtrends. Oh my god. Okay, so that's another thing. And remember when I say about every morning, right? So look left and look at the character of the stock, and if you take a trade, why would it change, right? So look at Jazz, and just by zooming out a bit, you get that mean reversion. So every time it pops, it goes back down. 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 So you get those small trends, but overall that's just a massive chop. So yeah, I don't like being positioned in those kind of names. Yeah, it's looking like my bike training yesterday. Yeah, Luis, no worries. That's why we're here, and to pass along those that knowledge. And okay, that's something to talk about. So either that you have a very large scan, and on each chart you have to go left and look if the chart is a mess, look if it's a mean reversion machine like that, look if it trades well overall, etc., etc. Or the other thing, and that's why you only see me in the top relative strength stocks, and that's why we developed the R strength in TradersLab. Because what happens is when you build a relative strength ranking system based on short-term but also long-term relative strength, is you basically removes all those names going sideways and having that left side looking like a heartbeat chart. Because if the stock is leading long-term, it means that on the weekly and monthly you get a nice uptrend, and leading short-term meaning that it always have that nice trend on the left side as well. So for example, Robinhood being in the IR strength names automatically points you to those names that are in a long-term uptrend and that are also leading kind of mid to midterm. So you get that uptrend, and now your game is to wait for those names to get back into support, get back into rising either 21 DMA structure for the midterm or 10-week moving average for the longer term. You can look for basing action like Robinhood had recently and those kind of things. But just going with scans that have relative strength filters will give you that filters to remove all those names like Jazz, for example. So yeah, two way. So either you do that by hand manually and you have to zoom out every time, or you build into your scans that relative strength on the short term and long term that will remove by design all those names. Yeah, you can benchmark relative strength against everything, but yeah, in TradersLab we benchmark against the S&P. That's the classic, the original one. But they all benchmark with the same indices, so it's not an absolute value. It's relative. So if it was absolute value, then yeah, benchmarking against the QQQ would make sense, but you're benchmarking against the same thing, and what you're looking for is the relative strength. So it doesn't really care if you benchmark against the QQQ or the SPX, to be honest. Yeah, I still have to remove. So a question for the auto sectors in TradersLab. I still have to remove that one. It seems that they just put all the related winners. So here in the battery, EV, everything that is related to auto manufacturer, but they do have some nice charts. So so manufacturers, that's cars. So that's a pretty strong chart, to be honest. It does lead. So that's the thing. I'm not sure about removing it because there's good names in that ETF. And the future vehicles and technology ETF proves to be leading right now. So there's pros and cons to keep it. Yeah, let's look at silver. Sil. Yeah, okay, you're right. 2.6. Yeah, I don't know why it's benchmarking higher. We'll have to look into this. All right, so everyone's ready for the market opens. 5 minutes remaining, so I wish everyone a very good day. And once again, I will be in the trading pit, hanging around during the day. Probably not doing a lot. Like I said, my goal remains to wait for those limit orders to get hit on my names at 2 and 5 R targets. So no new trades again for me today. And if there's a limit order triggering for my targets, I will update as usual in the journal and try to make a few market updates along the day. But like I said, I'm really just focusing on my names at this point and not trying to analyze this too much of the market unless it's stopped to trend above daily structure and breadth start to contract. So all right, have a good day everyone. Cheers.